And on paper, yes, okay, one deck should be very strong. You still have to play that game out. It still comes down to the players, the decisions in the game. And eventually, you know, we'll get to a point where the best players can just win a bad matchup with the right kind of setup. So
look,
let's
80-20 is not unwinnable.
Exactly, there's a 20 there, and
yeah.
it might be cope.
Yeah.
It might be cope to say you can make it, but we're going to look at some metal card hunters right now. As I say metal card, to be honest, that's dismissive at this point. 8-1 on Sett.
Yeah, bro, he's doing fantastic.
Exactly, I'm being shady back.
All right, let's take a look at this deck list. We have Tomino here with the Sett, the boss. Any particular choices that in this deck are... Okay, well, there were dragons there. So
yeah, I saw a Fey Dragon, I think is what it's called.
And that's a very expensive card for Sett to be considering, because Setts typically don't get to 7 energy very often. But let's take a look at this Irelia as well. No Siren in this build, which is one of the marks that we have to pay attention to, because that's typically would play like either 3 boots or 2 boots and a Siren.
Yeah.
Then other win condition over here is also the Draven, which is Draven Audacious, sorry, the big Draven, as you call him. It's something that I see a lot of Irelia players actually just kind of distance themselves typically, because it is a liability in some games, and it is a very risky play. And many people trying to like mitigate that risk by playing a secondary Irelia, for example, and do it that way. But at the same time, it's not a bad decision to have it in the deck. You just play a little bit differently because you have an option to win the game by having the Draven Audacious.
I think it's worth us coming into this matchup talking a little bit about some of the changes that were made in the recent erratas and FAQs, specifically Monastery of Hirana with Sett. You used to be able to layer it to get the draw off the buff by conquering Sett. I'm pretty sure it has now changed that you no longer have that option. Sett has to already have a buff upon conquering in order to spend the buff to draw a card.
Yes, that is correct. The reason for that is to put an item on the chain, you will have to satisfy the requirement for it.
Yes.
So to put the Monastery of Hirana effect on the chain, you have to spend the buff. If you didn't have it before conquering, well, you cannot do that anymore. So this makes potentially like Warmog's armor way less efficient. But the thing is, Sett doesn't really care that much, because your Sett brawler has a buff by being played. So he can still do this. He can still go in, concur, and spend his buff that he already had, and draw a card, and then get a new one, because he's getting us a buff when he is
That's what I was going to say. You still get it right after the conquer, because you layer it up, so that you spend it first, and then you'll get the new one back. I wonder, I think this is a very minor thing, as we do see the first couple of units coming out of the game. We mentioned Fey Dragon in the list. Of course, that is a big unit that you said it is difficult to spend. One of the effects is when you play it, buff up to 4 friendly units. I don't think that is specifically in response to that, but it never is going to hurt buffing things in a Sett deck.
I've never seen this card actually buff more than 2 units.
That's so fair, yeah.
So it's basically just reads like give 1 or 2 buffs in most cases.
But
the thing is, in current metagame, having a 7 might is also pretty important. Guess why?
Yeah. Why?
Because of something that costs 6 energy and 1 red.
Ah, yeah, Ferris 4.
So it goes over it without spending any cards, or it's like forces interaction from your opponents, right? The thing is, though, with a typical Sett deck, you are not often going to that area where you have 7 energy, because the deck is just so aggressive at spending its runes to save their units, because of the Sett's boss power, which is basically like a Zhonya's or Guardian Angel on your legend built in, which is incredibly powerful, by the way, but it has a cost. And for this reason, when you play the Dragon for 7, you want to also have Bone Shivers, because Bone Shivers then are trying to make up for the loss of energy that you typically have in this deck.
Yeah, that is something we'll keep a track of throughout the game. That is Sett being played already, Irelia as well, so both chosen champions are out.
And the Irelia is being pre-equipped with the Guardian Angel to make sure that she doesn't get caught by a challenge.
Yes. Such a key matchup, such a key card in a matchup like this, where like Irelia has to stay alive. So that challenge is going to be, you know, brutal if it ever does catch an Irelia un-Guardian Angel.
But there comes action. No, never mind. I thought it's
That's
action.
a funny-looking action.
Saw it in its hand, in Tomino's hand, and it's one of the key also cards in this matchup.
Yeah.
For specifically the GA or boots. because that's one of those key moments where Irelia will feel safe.
Yes.
And then action comes in, swoops in, mugs her of the boots, for example, or the GA, and suddenly she is out in the open without much help, specifically for the GA, right? So that's one of the key moments that we're gonna have in this game, where action will come into the play and affect the board state when Irelia will be on the battlefield.
And that's always one of the most difficult things about playing around Sett already is, how do I kill your units enough times to actually kill them? They keep coming back. There's always a way to keep them alive. So stealing your opponent's Guardian Angel, which is a card obviously that is not normally available to Sett, as it is outside of the domain profile for Sett as a legend. So Irelia goes in, looks to conquer and get the draw.
That was a stack deck.
Stack deck as well, yeah.
Yep. Let's see the decision over here. We are spending the boots to attach and untap it, and most likely double conquer, or we're going to base, depending on how the player feels when it comes to his hand size, the amount of buffs that he has in the hand, and also the fact that he has the GA.
So, in this matchup, are you trying to bring Irelia back to base as much as possible so that
context
the only
dependent.
thing? Pardon?
It's really context dependent.
Okay, okay.
It's hard to say what is the current best play without seeing like how many units the opponent has, what is my hand, how many buffs do I have, am I like cantripping any cards? All of that is an actual decision making. It has an effect on your decision making,
of course,
because so many factors have to be taken into consideration.
And from my perspective on this matchup, which again, I'm not a Sett player, it feels like Sett has like big power spikes with regards to like a punch first, or using the buff that Sett has to jump really high with one resource in order to get high might. Whereas Irelia is like, okay, I'll on guard, all right, I'll discipline, and I'll do little bits, but lots of them in order to see a lot of cards, buff up my Irelia. So I'm interested to see how that plays out. There is the action you called on the previous turn, and now this is an Irelia potentially, you know, in trouble.
Not so fast. That is so important, and in case of Sett, you cannot really riposte that, even when you're in the colors.
Yeah,
that's
of course.
Only something that Fiora can do.
Yeah, not a signature spell. And for those of you that perhaps are not familiar with this interaction, not so fast also counters things that target a gear. So it's really important at that point that Akshan can get denied, allows Irelia to stay in.
Crucial moment of the game. If that not so fast wasn't here, Irelia would have been out in the open.
Yeah.
And yeah, that is a big moment. I don't think it does a second action in the hand right now. So.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it. We'll take another look. Commonly, of course, we see not so fast that are used against spells, but of course does affect abilities too. So
it will come up next expansion a lot when Elder Dragon, for example, comes into the game and he starts, you know, just spitting fire on your units. I think it's fire, no?
But does Elder... this is not important for this game, and we don't look at all of the previews in enough detail. Does Elder Dragon target?
It is.
It does?
It does.
Okay. Oh, because it's 3. It's one from each.
You choose one unit per location.
Yes, you're right. I just assumed it comes in and nukes everything. I was like, this card's broken.
Bro, stop it.
Okay, like, don't listen to me.
It's good enough already.
Don't design cards based on me. Irelia going to move across to using the Boots of Swiftness. This is why I don't read the cards until we're actually coming in to cast the tournament. I don't know what's happening in Unleashed. But Spirit Forged, I'm pretty good on still. As that is a clutch of cards for Irelia. We saw Defiant Dance in hand, saw an On Guard, Discipline, everything you could need to try and turn a combat back in your favor.
Yeah, and now because Tomino lost one of those outs to try to battle the Irelia, he needs to find another scenario where he will be able to achieve 2 goals. One, get the pumps out of his opponent's hand as soon as possible to get into a more comfortable position into the late game. And 2, find a way of affecting the Irelia when she's in base after the recall from the Guardian Angel. Now, without the action, we have to go and fight through the buffs first. So essentially, there are like 3 potential like scenarios that have to align for the Sett to have a good outcome for him, which is not easy to achieve. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not even going to try to predict, because there's so many interactions from both sides here. Like, it's hard to calculate this because you have to take into context of the tells that your opponent is doing with how he plays his hand, how he plays the previous turns, and we'll see. Oh, that's the... Dude, I said what I said about the dragon, that I never seen it buff 4 units.
It is happening, though.
It's literally happening now. 4 buffs.
They got to the...
Oh, we're reading the card?
It does explain the card. but, you know, we talked a little bit about playing in a featured match area. This is a moment where...
Actually,
I'm
3
sure,
units, I lied.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sure Tatts...
well, actually, we could have spent the buff before doing it.
To buff up Sett to 8 if you're going in with it.
Yes.
Tatts clearly, I'm sure, knows what Fey Dragon does, but at this moment, it's a card you're not used to seeing. So you want to get the exact wording correct on this card before you let it like enter and do things, just to be sure what's coming next. You're right, though. There was perhaps a little... It ends up buffing itself, right? Let me just double check.
Yes,
Is that
of
the
course.
fourth
It's
one?
+4. So it could have been a very effective way of getting the set to 12 potentially. But now, oh, you mean the dragon? No, it can target 4 units overall. Yeah. And now it's also a very interesting interaction because that's not always something you see. Hirana can actually spend a buff that is not on the unit that is conquering it.
Oh yeah, of course. So I think they did. Yeah, just getting everything buffed, utilizing as much as possible from this turn. So we do see the Fey Dragon come out. That's clearly one of the reasons. And, you know, we had wondered whether the changes to buffs and stuff would affect Sett in a negative way. That I think people were discussing how huge that was.
Overall, I think he's a winner in this metagame because the lack of fight or flight is one of those cards that actually made the game almost unplayable
that's fair.
For Sett, because he cannot commit to any fight when there's a fight or flight potentially coming to his head.
And he has to, you telegraph everything when he says, okay, I'll spend the buff first before I do it. And
then
I'm
you
go
punch first. And it's like, oh, unlucky, go back to base.
Very true. Is 6 points for Tatts already in this game. Will ready, and will that be Irelia coming back to base? Looking at what we have, that's going to be Irelia coming safety. And now we're down to how many challenges, how many ways of removing this Irelia are possible, or is the game plan for Tomino, I just have to weather this storm on the next turn, put the Fey Dragon on one battlefield, try and get just as much might as I can.
It is a little bit awkward, not gonna lie. Tatts is at 6 points. There were like, what, 2 showdowns in this game so far?
Yeah. Not a whole lot of combat, and I think that's a rebuke right in the back of Tatts' hand.
Yeah, that card still exists.
That exists, and that will deal
Fight
with...
or flight was a problem, because it's also reaction speed, right, when hidden, but rebuke is still an issue.
Yeah.
In the next set, there's a card that will repulse the rebuke, but it's not something that we have currently, so a set would need to find a different way of playing around it, and that's possible by having sabotage.
So, yeah, Tatts is a little bit vulnerable potential to a sabotage. I can't quite remember whether there's a defy in hand. I think there's at least one challenge there for Tomino. But Tatts has to use the economy, the 4 runes available wisely here, because a rebuke is going to be costly. It's going to be half of the economy that is available for this turn. Sett spends the buff, moves into the battlefield. Is going to not contest this one. There's, of course, no point. Nothing to do for Irelia. This is about just getting to the next turn with this Irelia intact.
Yeah, and then ganking both battlefields and finishing up the game. So Irelia is going to have 4, 7, 9 energy to untap and play all of the buffs and try to finish up the game. It's not going to be easy for Sett to set up defenses, and now Tomino will going to have to figure it out. Okay, how do I set up my defenses? Do I play all units on one battlefield, but then do I just lose to a potential hold from Irelia? Is that a factor? Do I have a way of affecting the Irelia when she goes to the first battlefield, or should I just maybe evenly spread out the might? Those are like really important questions that a player will be able to probably plan when you're playing the game and you have all the information of what you have in your hand and what you are tracking in your opponent's hand. But it's very complex board state right now. When you're watching this game, you're probably not thinking it's that complex, but trust me, it is incredibly complex. How do you figured out this puzzle over here.
And there are a few lines that get blown out really badly here as well. There's like a Death Grip in hand for Tomino. If that Death Grip goes off first before the Rebuke, that is like back-breaking in a turn. If you say, okay, well, I'll kill one unit and then send everything in. Obviously, I don't think that is likely to be the one. Here comes the challenge. It will be Defied. I believe there was one in hand from Tatts. So that's number one.
Not worth it, but the game is coming to an end, right? It's most likely going to be decided in the next turn or two on who's going to win this.
Yeah,
and there's the Hidden Blade, potentially.
Which, yeah,
the unhidden blade.
The unhidden blade. The more hidden than normal hidden blade by being in hand. That potentially does slow down Irelia. As you said, there is a showstopper available if you want to move the Sett over to this other battlefield as well. On its own here, you probably have to spend a lot to keep it alive.
So it seems like we have a stack on one side, and then we're probably going to be sacrificing the Sett from the other battlefield first. We'll see. The plan might be... Now, it all really depends on how the Irelia will play this round.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, Sett is not winning unless he's double holding or like conquering and holding at the same turn.
I feel like Charm makes this really difficult as well, because you can already assume you're going to clear this first battlefield with Sett.
Yeah,
and then you can pull something over and soften up that second battlefield.
So you have Charm and Rebuke, which is basically just canceling
remove two units. Yeah, exactly. Then you've got Defiant Dance.
Charm to base?
I don't think you need to in this one. I think this one, you just crush them. So yeah, as you said, remove 2 units, and then you can soften up the other battlefield, pump up Irelia. I think this is a really tough spot to be in for Tomino. It does have a punch first, but again, it's down to sequencing of like, punch first is action speed, you let that fully resolve, then you rebuke, or however it goes. Let's take a look at which direction Tatts is going to go on this. On guard first in the showdown.
We also are untapping, so we're going to be able to then pay 1 more energy to untap the legend if necessary, to even buff it even more.
Oh, yeah, potentially.
Because we're probably just going to do everything. If the plan is for Tatts, because maybe it's different, I don't know. But if he's going to try to gank now, and I probably think he will, you're going to try to absolutely min-max the amount of might that you can get to the Irelia.
Yeah. Did we... Is there an answer to the Hidden Blade? I didn't quite see it in hand. There is a Defy there, right? That is in... Yeah, okay.
Another Defy, yes.
That's huge. I think if this Hidden Blade goes off, it slows Irelia down a little bit, because as you said, there's no untap on the Irelia. It would be exhausted at that point, so...
Correct. If this would actually go through, then the Irelia would be back to base,
exhausted,
because it would be recalled.
And it would be a double hold for Tomino. So actually, without that Defy, there was a line for Tomino to close this game out.
It's kind of funny when you think about it this way.
Yeah, 2 Defies. The challenge and this Hidden Blade as well. Really impactful Defies coming through. Here's the Charm.
Charm to base.
Charm to the Sunken Temple. Get over here for the Fey Dragon. This Irelia is already big enough to be a Dragon Slayer right now, and I
actually think it's the base.
Oh, it is the base?
Yeah. Because now
I mean, it could be. To be honest,
I'm not
it doesn't matter.
Now. Yeah, but
it's writing the line. Okay, yeah, it's the base. We're not. See, you've done it again.
Yeah, yoo-hoo.
I will say that's not supremely clear that it's in base, but it's okay. I think the result is the same regardless.
Yeah, 12 to 11. Now let's see. There's 1 punch first in hand, from what I remember, and not much else. Defiant Dance is gonna do essentially a +5.
Basically punch first. in a
when
way.
you think about it, yes. A little bit more flexible.
Yeah, basically the same. Still one of, I think, the strongest spells from
It's absolutely mad.
It's just a little unassuming 1-cost spell. What do you mean that's a good thing? -2 you hold it all, pays the deflect cost as well. Rebuke back to hand means Irelia should clear through this battlefield. Fist bump comes out, and that is going to be game 1 from Tatts. Still close. You know, this is... It easily shows us how Tomino has made it to 8-1 on Sett, because that was quite an imposing board state, and if you didn't have exactly 2 Defies...
If there was another Hidden Blade...
Or another challenge, or anything like that.
Could have been... I mean, challenge probably not, because there would still be like a Defiant Dance in response.
True.
And it would probably make it very, hard to break
Yeah.
the Irelia, to recall to base and exhaust her. But if there was a second Hidden Blade, the game would have been over.
Yeah.
And Sett would have just taken it. From a very unassuming position, by the way. Because
Yeah.
and again, I wanted to reiterate what I said like 5 minutes ago when this turn essentially kind of started for both players, or maybe even longer than that. The board state was incredibly complex to finish this game. It might have not looked like that, but it was. Now let's take a look at Tomino's sideboard. We have potentially Sabotage, Cool the Weak, Hidden Blade, Salvage, and Action. And maybe Call to Glory. Those are there's like 6 cards that you can consider sideboarding in. We don't know. I'm not sure certain what is gonna come in.
A card that we do not see very often in competitive marching orders. So that is essentially challenge that can be repeated. Choose a friendly unit anywhere and an enemy unit at a battlefield. So there's a little bit of limitation. They deal damage equal to their might to each other.
Yeah, the
and
problem
you can repeat.
Is that it's also weak to defy.
Yeah, yeah, because it's still defiable. Oh, if you repeat that, oh, that's painful.
Yeah, you don't want to
defy, not so fast. Like, there's a lot of things that can stop that. So yeah,
probably
maybe
not coming in against it. Right?
Yeah, maybe not against green. Maybe not against. That's one where you look at it and you're like, oh, that could help, and then you think about it for any amount of time, and you're like, ooh, I get blown out really quick.
I saw Cool the Weak being sided in, which is okay, because the thing is though, against most Irelias, the Cool the Weak is not really that strong anymore.
Sure.
Because there's a lot of 2-drops being played in Irelias as well. But at the same time, it's just good to have it, because you most likely force your opponent to play around the Cool the Weak.
Yeah.
But even if you have it, at some point they're going to stop playing around it because they're going to be forced into a position where those 2-drops probably have to take a fight.
And then sideboarding on Irelia, are you looking at taking out 2-drops at any point? Is that one of the areas you go, or do you have to go somewhere else?
That's a very good question. I'm not an expert when it comes to playing Irelia, and I feel like I might be just saying some stuff that is not correct.
Don't worry, I feel like that for myself a lot of the time.
In many decks, when you're going second, because you won the first game, you are siding out some of the 2-drops because you're starting potentially at 3 energy, so you can have like a different kind of mindset of what you want to play on turn 1, and maybe you just have more 3-drops, and that will essentially take the spot of the 2-drops.
Yeah.
But when you typically play against the yellow, I would not do that.
Okay.
Because Cool the Weak is really an incredibly powerful card, and it is something that affects the board state very early on as well. So if you ever played like a Kai'Sa or Draven, and you're like, do I Obelisk of Power my Draven on turn 1 and just die to Cool the Weak?
Yeah.
Answer is probably no.
Yeah.
So you want to avoid those situations, right? So you want to have those cheaper units as well.
Yeah, especially now with, as a reminder, Obelisk of Power, for those of you constructing your decks, not a legal card in the current game. So those choices are gone. I think that's a really interesting conversation around, like, sometimes you're sideboarding for game 2 and game 3, depending on what the result was of the previous games, can be different, where you're like, sometimes you side back in cards from your winning game 1 in game 3, right? It's like, I won game 1, so now I know I'm going second, but now I need the good stuff for the early game back in when I eventually end up with the series 1-1. Obviously, you're trying to close out game 2-0, but that's not always how it goes. There is an advantage to going first. There is generally that favorability of why players will do it. So can't really overlook that in the way that you're sideboarding.
All right. Well, it's an interesting match so far. I love watching Sett. By the way, did we even have a single activation of Sett the boss?
There was one. It was one played to go to 6. It wasn't for a showdown. I think it was just in order to use it. And I think that, I'm not sure exactly why. Maybe there was like afraid of some way of surprise defender or something like that. But nevertheless, I think we got one. It wasn't particularly impactful on its own.
Oh, there's Lucian. That's going to be helpful. Never mind. He's going down.
He's out of here. He's like, nah, get out of here. Fey Dragon.
2 challenges. Oh, okay.
We talked about how maybe it would be influential. And I mean, we are in a situation where, so Irelia here can go GA and then equip it to Irelia on the following turn, right? So you go GA turn 1, oh, your turn 1 on 3, and then maybe I'm mistaken. I'm gonna see what happens.
It is definitely a play, like GA turn 1 when you're going second, and then Irelia turn 2.
And you just attach it,
GA immediately when you're playing around, for example, challenge. Hey, that's us.
That is us.
But the thing is, when you do that, judge call. Okay, so we're gonna be waiting a little bit for that. But let's speak about the potential. Like, if you go GA into Irelia like that, then you are kinda weak to some combos.
Okay.
By combos, I'm not saying like combo synergy, but like by just having multiple cards. Like, for example, call the weak into challenge after like you have some unit. It requires a really deep board step, or like double call the weak and so on. You're still like a little bit open. So in general, I would say like, if possible, Irelia will probably play a 2-drop instead of the GA on turn 1 anyway.
Which is exactly what we're seeing in this scenario. Is will come through with a Titana.
And we're playing to 9 in this particular game. Aspirant's climbing a battlefield chosen by Tatts. Do you think he has any Tatts?
I don't see any. So I guess that's what they call work safe. Is when they're
correct
under the shirt line, or anywhere else. I've seen a lot of spells in hand for Tatts. I'm looking for any of the units. I think I saw a Rebuke in there. Not so fast to find dance. Of course, you have Irelia from the Chosen Champion zone.
What is very important is that there's not a single yellow color in Tomino's resources right now. So when you think about it, Tatts doesn't have to play around some of the cards, like, for example, Hidden Blade. Cold Week is an option this turn as well, so you have a little bit of information. But next turn, there's definitely going to be at least one yellow. Now, we're going to start by playing a rookie that's going to buff our pit crew, and that is going to be... not pit crew. First mate.
Yeah.
I don't know why I said pit crew.
That is the card, but I always think it's the same, like within the same group of cards. I think about. I do the same. Don't worry.
So 4 might to 4 might. We have a draw currently. Now let's see if Tomino is trying to win this combat. Winning this combat will also mean that you're drawing a card because Seat of Power is in play.
But it's Fey Dragon and 2 challenges in hand. There comes an On Guard as well. So that is going to hold the battle. That's 2 cards used.
Yeah. It's actually not bad, even if you lose this, because remember, we can just recall this unit to base with this set.
Yeah.
This essentially means we sacrificed a 1 energy and 1... That's it. You sacrifice 1 energy for 2 cards from your opponent, which one was cantripped. But that's still an okay, I would say, exchange for this set. We could consider this a small win. And this is going to be like a death of 1,000 cuts.
Yeah, and I think this scenario that you're talking about as well is changed slightly, where Irelia with Stellarcorn Herder draws a ton of cards. Irelia with Discipline in hand draws extra cards, which we've seen one already. But it's a Lonely Paro, no Stellarcorn Herder, so it is slightly lower cards seen for Irelia for the next couple of turns than you might expect. It's not that detrimental, but every time you get that extra spell, as you're talking about, it's something to consider in the way that you construct your next turn.
Yeah, and because the game is going to be going longer a little bit because of the Aspirant's Climb, I feel like one of the win conditions for Tomino could be playing for the long game and just like kinda going for the attrition battle. I'm not sure how feasible that will be.
Fey Dragon.
If Tatts will draw the Stellarcorn Herder. We'll see.
You said it buffs up like 2 normally.
I don't know,
Both
man.
times we've seen
Don't
it.
listen to what I'm saying.
No,
it's the second time we see it fall.
I believe you, though, because there's a difference between seeing Sett playing Fey Dragon or Fey Dragon in general at other tournaments and then seeing it when you're at 8-1. There's a reason it's here.
It's not even that, I think. I think this is just this particular matchup.
I'm trying to save you here.
Yeah, okay, thank you. I'm trying to save myself as well. I feel like it's just a very slow matchup right now being played in both games.
That's very true. That is very true. But getting the maximum amount of buffs coming through from the Seat of Power as well. So we'll get that.
It's kind of crazy when you think about it. This is like 11 might.
Yeah, it's a lot added to the board. And yeah, Seat of Power, because it was under the when conquered, there was control of Aspirant's Climb, so we'll get the benefit from that. Basically fully buffed up as well from that Fey Dragon, so really strong base line here. And this is the difference in the meta that we've seen. Irelia, very strong, typically is a single unit with a lot of support from cards from hand and equipment, whereas we've seen now Sett, but Rek'Sai and Victor and Azir go wide and present really big boards from multiple units.
Yep, correct. So a lot of puzzles over here. We're gonna. There's the Stellarcorn Herder. Okay.
That'll fix a little bit of the card draw.
Potentially, yes. there's going to be another puzzle for Irelia to solve, like how does this unit not die?
Yeah.
Because it will probably be targeted now
Yeah.
by the challenge. So fortunately for Tatts, he still has a lot of energy open. 1 for Defy, 2 for Not So Fast in case of like 2 removals.
And we're in a moment, you mentioned about challenge, which obviously it's a very valid target to attack the hand.
For sure.
Is the Irelia also, like, which you can... There's arguments for both. Is there a consideration that one is a better target than the other with challenge? Of, do you want to take out the Irelia
Depends
right
on
now?
the context, I would
Yeah.
say. Again, we have to look at how many cards does Tatts have,
Yeah.
and how many energy does he have open. Like, let's say we're currently... Let's just imagine, I'm not certain if this is the case, but I think Tomino might have 2 challenges in his hand.
Yes, he does.
If we double challenge the Irelia, we're going to have to pay double deflect. And if both of those get
true.
counted, how much do we lose on tempo?
That's a blowout. Yeah,
So,
you're right. Yeah.
But the Stellacon Herder is also a valid target.
Yeah.
And your opponent will probably use the counter spells for that anyway.
Yeah, and if you get the
So-
Defy out of hand, and then you get another challenge and get the kill anyway,
Yes.
you're again fine giving over your runes for now to
Correct.
stop them drawing.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's a safer choice to choose the Stellacon Herder, but we'll see. Yeah,
That's
there we go.
exactly the choice that you're saying, and I think there's a Not So Fast in hand as well.
Sure. And the Not So Fast is being chosen because it's more convenient to use it now
Yeah.
instead of, like, for example, you're not going to be able to Not So Fast a Death Grip. But
Exactly,
you're going to be
or
able
like a
to
Color
defy
Weave,
a Death
right?
Grip. So Tatts uses here the Not So Fast because it has less scenarios in
Yeah.
which it can be played. So you want to use it a little bit more often. And also remember that Defy actually costs you more energy, so it's going to be easier to squeeze it in.
Yeah, that is a very fair point as we continue on through the turn of Tomino. So notice he got one of the cards out of hand to
There's the Brawler.
stop. So a Sett Brawler is going to come in, will get buffed, and that is the pass of the turn. So Stellacon Herder is going to at least get to move, you'd imagine, to the Seat of Power. So we'll get 1 draw. So already Tatts is like, fine, I got something from this.
Yep.
Draws into a draw.
Was that
That was a
Angel of
discipline,
Night?
I think, wasn't it?
It was like a very confusing card. For what is this?
Let's see if we can get a sight. I was going to say Lonely Paro also needs to, unfortunately, hit the crash in order to get the card.
It's a sad Poro now. Okay, so
oh, no,
this
it's
is
a Vex, right?
Oh, it's a Vex.
It's
okay,
a Vex,
okay.
okay.
Vex Cheerless, which is a very powerful card. How much would you have to pay for Punch first if Vex is in the fight?
A lot. A lot.
Yeah, 2 energy and 3 power.
But does it affect too much of the rest of Sett? I feel like, yeah, there are some other abilities, that other spells that are in there. So Vex is going to get played. And a Not So Fast, as you mentioned.
So Not So Fast
Rebuke.
Defy Rebuke. That is a
Is that
nasty
2
hand.
rebukes? Ooh. That is a nasty, nasty hand. So Defiant Dance is going to come through. Oh, okay. This
We're
is the turn where
actually
you're turning the dial up. Because you're like, if I can get into this combat potentially, get all of my spells for low cost, like, Rebuke suddenly becomes a lot more cost-effective in these scenarios. If you can wipe out as much of this board state as possible...
I'm not certain what is the plan here for Tatts, so I'm curiously awaiting the resolution of this combat. Okay, so
okay,
it's
just going to say no...
Just set the pause. But essentially here we're sacrificing the dance for basically a buff, right? Because Sett is saving the unit. And now the dance and Vex will probably be a target of an attack. So the reason why I'm a little bit not certain about how is this worth, I would consider this a small win again for Tomino, because now he's able to push, go into like 7 or 8 and have a win condition for the next turn, while the Irelia is still far away from winning.
Is it a... I don't know the answer to this, just to give more context around the game. Is it perhaps also about one thing towards getting to 5 so that you can then Irelia double battlefield as often as possible? And like, so
well,
you're
it
not...
doesn't have boots yet.
True. That's actually really, really true. Because I was just looking at like 4 going to 9 is a really big climb. That's 3 turns worth of point scoring.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the main
But the
reason,
thing
though.
is, like, I'll be honest with you, I think this is not a good board state for Irelia anyway.
no,
So,
you're totally right.
Sometimes you just have to do plays that just are not the best. They're suboptimal, but you have no other choice. It feels like this might be one of those kind of situations over here. There's the
Challenge,
not so fast.
Not so fast. Yeah. And this is one of these things we talked yesterday about. Sometimes you can be in the tank as a player or as a commentator looking at one line of things and not quite have the full picture that we're looking at. So definitely from Tatts' perspective, as you said, he's playing up against a giant board state. May very well have one thing in mind that is, to him, very obvious, or to him, the exact way to go. So we'll see. Obviously, Vex in a showdown, we know how potent Vex can be. So you have to kind of calculate through, okay, what spells make Vex reduction the most deadly now? If you're Tomino going into a showdown, you're like, okay, how many rebukes can they play? How many pump spells can they play?
I feel like in this case you try to avoid the Vex for now and you try to kill the Stalacon Herder first.
Yeah.
But we'll see the commitment from Tatts here, probably.
So
I
it
would
was
say.
buff being spent.
There has to be a rebuke here, yeah.
Yeah.
Oof. 1 energy, 1 power rebuke.
That card's good enough at 2 and 2.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah, that is.
But still, doesn't really change much for the board state, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm trying to look at what was in hand there. I think we'll
now
hopefully
there's Sett
catch
in hand.
a glimpse. Now there's a Sett in hand. I did see that, and I was like, I could say that, but I feel like that might be stating the obvious of what we just saw. So now Doran's played.
Doran's is a very boring card. It's just +2 might. But when you think about the equipment effect and the possibilities of juggling it between units now is incredibly important.
And also now going into a combat around the Vex means anything else is going to be costly. Plus Fiora will be switched on with, it's 3 keywords, right? It's like, is it deflect on this one, the Fiora?
Deflect, ganking, and shield.
And shield,
if she is mighty.
Yes, which now she is, right? With
Correct.
it was already with the buff, actually. But,
so, because we moved now into Stalacon Herder, I'm going to assume we're not going to attack the Vex at all, because we would like to attack for the Seat of Power. We first would attack into the Vex.
Which is
if
why
we would like
happens.
to let it live, then we just probably would go first into the Stalacon Herder anyway, right? And not try and maybe to attack into Vex. Because essentially now, the Rebuke was a hard removal. Right? You use this for 1 energy, 1 power, and the Sett is permanently removed. It would have to be played and then has to wait essentially 2 turns to be active, unless there's a showstopper, right? That you can use on the Sett who's playing from the hand to accelerate it essentially.
Oh, wow. This is just a full deflect cost rebuke in order to stop Tomino from going up to 8. Of course, we're on Aspirant's Climb, so as said, that's a game in which we're going to 9.
And
Tatts
now
will go to 7 as well.
Tatts is at 7, has 4.
He's
scoped.
Okay, yeah.
I was like, he's just showing the 5 for no reason.
No, I think it's fair. Like the hand was really not what you want at this point in Irelia. Like a Stalacon Herder, a Defy, not really enough to keep drawing cards. And as we said, that decision making on what do you attack from that moment, the Stalacon Herder only getting 1 draw off is punishing for Irelia.
Well, I would say overall. First, I would like to say Tomino played it really well.
Yeah.
I feel like he set up a win condition very early on. He was saving his units, not even going into battle. He was just trying to avoid the combat quite a little bit to amount enough amount of units and might at the same time to threaten Irelia's all the time. And those little small battles that he was winning before, when there was this Discipline, no, was it Discipline and Guard being played? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think
Discipline and Guard from 1
early
combat, right? Then unit didn't die because of recall to base from the Sett's ability. All of that kind of small battles that he was draining out the cards from Irelia's hand were impactful in the long term. And for Tatts, I feel like because he was lacking the card draw early on, he was not able to catch up in the late game, because one of the weaknesses of Irelia right now is the fact that you don't have a lot of card draw. And that's the thing because of the bats. We don't have Dreaming Tree, we don't have Reverse Row to actually just also have more potential movement with Stalacon Herder, or just saving your Irelia from combat as well.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of cards did hit Irelia, and she still is performing well though, as the deck with I think the highest representation here in
and
Day 2.
Great conversion. 1 out of 4 players playing Irelia converted to Day 2. The population of Irelia's increased overall in the tournament from... Did I take my notes? I don't think I took it with me.
I gotta remember now off the top of your head.
It was 15% of Irelia day 1.
Yeah.
And now it's 22, if I remember correctly. So
It's around that, yeah. I think you're correct on
there's
that.
more of Irelia on day 2 than on day 1 when you think about the entire population of the players that are here to play in this tournament at this stage. And so yeah, it's a very powerful deck. It's just a little bit less consistent, thank God. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly that. Exactly. A little bit less consistent. And, you know, we get to see these somewhat unorthodox matchups of Sett in Spiritforged against Irelia. Definitely one of the more fringe matchups from Tomino's side of things, as there is kind of a benefit of running a deck and coming to a tournament and knowing that you know the matchup better than your opponent.
Correct.
Because the chances of Tatts grinding this game against Sett again and again and again is unlikely, whereas Tomino will have said, well, Irelia is going to be one of the best decks in the room, so I will play 100 games against a good Irelia player and just as practice.
Yeah, you can record your statement and just change like the names of the characters.
Any decks.
And and essentially say that almost in every single metagame, because it's a very true statement. It is an advantage when you're playing, to some degree, of course, because you're not potentially playing the best deck in the format.
Sure.
But you have secret informations, or like your opponent will have less experience to your deck, which will make him maybe misplay, maybe plan not correctly, because he doesn't know the interaction, or whatever option in your deck can be. You can catch people off guard because you're playing one of the surprise cards. Like, one of my favorite green cards is Block.
Okay,
I almost never see it being played. But one time it's going to be played, and someone is going to get completely outplayed, because it's like, wow, it's +3?
Well,
what the hell? That's not the math that I expected. And suddenly the combat goes the other way.
That was a little bit like Vex at Bologna, where people knew kind of what Vex did, but nobody else had the math on, like, okay, how much do I have to pay in a combat for what now?
That was also a very interesting interaction with Vex, when you were able to just essentially play a free Bellows Breath if you have Ezreal Prodigy.
Yeah, no longer the case.
Yeah, and there was also a stage in pre-showdown. There was already combat, but it was not combat.
Yeah.
So it was like pre-showdown, where the Vex didn't make the spells yet cheaper, but you could play spells during a showdown. That's not the case anymore, so we don't have to explain it. But it was the case before. There was like a lot of new ones.
Thankfully, we don't have to explain any of that so much anymore. But we are into our game 3. Lonely Paro plus some boots as Lucian on the other side of the table.
And we have 3 open energy because of Targon's Peak.
Yes, of course. Everyone wants to be Annie in this matchup. So some core cards here. There's a Hidden Blade. There's an Akshan in hand. I think there's a Ruin Runner in the back, if I'm not mistaken, from Sett's hand.
It doesn't feel like the Ruin Runner is that great against Irelia.
No, there's a few things that it'll deal with, like a Rebuke, obviously, and a Defiant Dance can't go through on it. But yeah, you're right. And the majority of what Irelia wants to do is focused on Irelia.
Yes, exactly. So it's much better against decks like for example, Kai'Sa. We have Warmog's Armor, but we didn't equip it. That's an interesting case, because that means we are not trying to deramp. So we can read from this position a little bit. We go for the action. He already knows what's happening.
Yeah.
And he's weapon mastering the Warmog's Armor on the action as well, and then equipping the boots from the effect of action.
So not waiting for the Guardian Angel, but in essence, this does slow down Irelia quite a lot, right? Because you no longer can just do the loop of getting points from both battlefields. It now kind of requires a second unit.
But also, this essentially is a very hard board state for Irelia to solve yet, with like a potentially charm to kill the action. And next turn, I'm going to assume that Tomino has a plan to buff the action and keep it safe, because it essentially gets a GA. So it's going to be harder to kill and get the boots back because of it. Ideally, it won't be by, like, for example, concurring with the Warmog and letting the action be on the battlefield, because that is putting it in danger. So ideally, we would like to see a buff and be in base and be a threat.
Yeah, Irelia, I think, is the only unit option available here to play. I think, is that a Zhonya's? I know there was...
It was a Guardian Angel.
But also, I think there's, like, next to the Rebuke.
And On Guard.
I think there might be a Zhonya's Hourglass in hand, which is what is coming out. hidden card.
Hidden card. And
which
it's not yellow, it's not hidden.
No, exactly. Still, I mean, now that Fight or Flight is gone, there's not too many cards that you would imagine in Irelia that are hidden anymore. I mean, Tide Turner does exist.
It can be a block!
If it is.
No, that was no block in the deck list. But this Sonya is essentially an insurance
if it is
against Cool the Weak here, because even if this Poro dies, Poro gets recalled to base essentially because of the Zonyas, and then the Cool the Weak still doesn't have an effect.
Yeah, because you also am I mistaken that because of the way that things now happen with something still on the chain? No, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. I think I'm actually incorrect.
It's getting recalled.
Yeah,
but you probably wanted to like replay it on the.
No, it's fine. You know what? If it comes up, we'll delve into it. But I think I was about to make an incorrect statement based on the recent rulings. Yes, as you said. Now we're into Akshan going on to the Sunken Temple. And we'll see what follows up here. Pit Rookie is going to buff up the Lucian, move into Battlefield. Now we get to see what the revealed card indeed does. And sorry, I should say.
It's very important that this buff was here on Lucian, because now this Unguard doesn't represent the Poro winning the combat. That is huge play. Very important that Tomino did this. Like, otherwise, this Zonya could have been used on the Irelia next turn. So it is pivotal, or like, of other importance for Tomino to make sure that this Poro gets recalled and not something else.
Yeah, now the on-guard will come through.
Yeah, we're gonna have to force Sett now to use his Sett the boss, unless Tomino doesn't want to D-ramp, or maybe he wants to use something else to go over the Poro. Probably not, but we'll see.
It is going to use Sonya, so as you said, it will...
Oh, okay. So, wait, am I mistaken?
So this is what I was wondering about, and I'm sorry, chat are going to light me up if this is wrong, so I'm sorry if it's wrong. There were changes to when the battlefield control is lost. And I did hear rumblings of, like, if you can Zonyas after losing a unit, because you technically don't lose the battlefield until after the cleanup.
Okay, that's
but I wasn't
I'm
sure.
Not certain,
I would love to get a ruling on that from for our sake, from the judges, not necessarily from the stream matchup. And I apologize if that is incorrect. It's one of the very minute details that were recently changed within the game. But it looks like that is the impact of what has happened in this game. As a reminder, we as casters do not have like any kind of control over the game or the judging decisions in the game, and the judges will only step in when they are asked for by the players. So I think it is an important thing to note on that one, as Irelia will continue looking at the game as it is being played from here. And again, I apologize if any of that is not 100% right. There have been a lot of changes recently. Irelia now going to get the Discipline on top as well. We'll get the card draw, see more from the deck, and potentially look to threaten. I wonder whether this is going towards the Targans or just to try and blow out both battlefields this turn. It will be Sunken Temple first with the higher might.
10-8, and it forces Tomino to do something about it, or just Sett back to the base. There is a Hidden Blade in the hand, but with Zonyas and Guardian Angel both open, it's like something that doesn't look that exciting. You have to D-ramp by 2, you're gonna be back to 5 energy on your follow-up. And if that gets counted, then you have to still use Sett the boss ability to save the action, because you have to. That's one of the very important things. You don't want to give ganking to Irelia now. So you would D-ramp back to 4. That is way too much. Yeah,
that is a painful spot to be in. Ooh, hard bargain in hand. So we know that already Sett is low on economy. That's going to make it even more punishing if those challenges come out late in the turn, where there's no real way of maintaining. Haven't really seen too much presence in the showdowns from Sett. That's the difficult thing. A lot of this game has been played of conquering battlefields, especially in game 1, that we were expecting a fight over, but actually both players have kind of passed away from each other, or like passed by each other, and that's what's going to happen again here as Akshan goes over to Targon's Peak. One way of getting runes is untaping them at the end of the turn. That's
not exactly the same, but yes.
Yeah,
For the hard bargain, actually will matter. So yeah, you have a good point here. Now action again gets the buff, so he can get rescued again and again and again. Obviously, unfortunately, the problem will be once a charm comes in and like a double combat will happen. We have the Ruin Runner being slammed in base and pass and open 2 runes for that potential interaction with a punch first or a hidden blade. Or a challenge. It's still an action speed that's something that can be used during combat. But now with only 2 open, the hard bargain essentially will affect every single spell.
Yeah, and there's a few different things you can represent with 2, right? We know there's a salvage there in hand. There's I think there's a hidden blade. Yeah, hidden blade. You know what? Everything in hand other than
all spells.
Call the Weak. I mean, everything technically is you have the runes for. Not all able to do it, but
so there's a rebuke though.
There is.
That rebuke also will solve the problem of not having the boots, because if you rebuke it, if you rebuke the action to hand, then Tomino will have to replay the action to take the boots back. But the problem is, if you do that, you kind of open also the GA for the action.
Yeah.
Because now he can change the target, right? It will be costly because you have to replay action and pay again 2 power. But it might not be ideal to lose the GA, so probably Rebuke is not the play.
That's a fair point. There's also a Defiant Dance and a Discipline in hand. There's a Tide Turner there. A few different things when it comes to the lines available for Tatts, and that Zhonya's is still in base. It's just going to be pass. Just saying, okay, I'm at 4 points. Pass the turn over to you. Don't want to play into those 2 open runes. And we move on as Tomino will hold to 4.
It's all 3 of those games are just so slow on development when it comes, like very, very meticulous in how they're being played. It's really a different kind of gameplay that you would typically expect from 2 decks that are all about brawling it out. There's literally a character called Brawler.
Yeah, it's right there in the name. And yeah, such a interesting spot to be in now is this Ruin Runner. We talked about, is it as influential against Irelia as you might think? And Irelia is Defiant Dance there.
Okay, so this is an interesting spot. You're going to be, again, we're going back to the game 2, where small battles might be something that Tomino will be looking at as his win condition. He's going to be trying to grind out the Irelia out of cards, because, again, Irelia doesn't have a lot of cards right now.
Yeah, it's been a painful 2 games for Irelia with like low on the Stellarcorn herders, low on units. So Defiant Dance comes down.
We have Irelia goes to 8 and to 6. So now, what are the plays over here? How much Tomino wants to sacrifice? Nothing. He just wants to go back. A small battle being won because it is 1 card out of hand from Tatts. And that is a Defiant Dance, a really big one when it comes to like swapping the amount of might that is on the battlefield.
So 6 and 1. In fact, I guess that was 7. Oh, because 1 floating. So 7 and 1 total as Fey Dragon going to come down, buff up a bunch of units. Will replace the buff that Akshan just lost.
And now, this is an interesting spot. Tatts goes up to 5. Most likely will stay at 5 on the upcoming follow-up. That opens up Tomino to go up to 6 for the follow-up, because otherwise Tatts will have to hold the battlefield. Oh, here we go. That's going to be the semi-ganking.
Yeah, so we'll be able to move the Irelia over.
That's a big, big move.
That's a big difference.
Yes. The reason why I was explaining that, because Tatts would have been not presenting a win condition, not presenting a potential lethal. Here, for Tatts, that is absolutely so important to do this. So it's a great play by Tatts to recognize that he has to put the pressure on Sett.
Yeah. Is the line now for Tomino, clear out the Tide Turner, salvage one of the gears to get rid of it, kill the Irelia to get rid of the other, and cull the Weak to get rid of it a 3rd time?
That works perfectly if there are no counterspells.
If there are no counterspells. That's what I'm saying.
How many
line, which is basically everything. Tatts does, I think, have
4 cards. You know what I very like? That we're actually moving our heads like it makes a difference when we're looking at TV.
Tilting to the side. I'm like,
yeah, it's like, it doesn't change the parallax, you know?
It's like when you have a controller in hand and you're trying to tilt it.
All right, salvage so that's the salvage. Not so fast is the only way. No, sorry, that's not the only way.
There's a Defy as well, right? So it will be Defies. There's 1, so that first thing is gone.
The question was, which one is better first?
Yeah, that's what
Is
I'm
better
wondering.
to challenge first?
Are there any challenges in hand? I know there's a Color Week. I know there's a Hidden Blade. So it might have to be... I think you... Can you still get there? It's kill the Tide Turner. But you have too much limitation on being at a battlefield because you can't Hidden Blade and win via a showdown.
I feel like you have to go to 6 this turn.
You have to, yeah. So this is going to be... Oh, okay. You can do it the other way around, where it's win the showdown against the Irelia, force the Zhonya's Hourglass, because you have to get that out of the way first. Otherwise, the Tide Turner will.
Well, you could be doing it on the Tide Turner,
but then it'll come back with the Zhonya's, right? So you want the
Tide
Irelia.
Turner. Yes, the Tide Turner will gonna come back with the Zhonya's if you kill the Tide Turner
First, but don't you want the Irelia to come back? Or is there a way... I guess either way is you have to get through multiple other things in order for Calder Week to kill the last remaining unit.
Okay, you're on the plan of the Calder Week.
Yes,
correct.
exactly.
Right. Sorry, I misunderstood.
No, that's okay. That's fair. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Is like there's so many steps to get to an open board state if you're Tomino compared to Tatts, that there's multiple ways to get there.
So we're now at 14-9 this turn. Tatts is actually also utilizing the additional might from his legend power. So he is valuing the additional might here because he wants to... well, does it actually make a difference for anything now? No, there has to be a reason for this. So let's wait out for what is happening next.
That's the Zhonya's.
We're recalling the Irelia to base. Now we're gonna be getting the effect of the Targons at the beginning of the next turn. We're also paying 1 to activate the same thing that Irelia has. When you conquer, you can pay 1 to untap your Sett, which is something that many people forget. As you can see, Tatts was actually reading it.
Yeah, I also think this. I think there's too many restrictions on things being at a battlefield in order to get this GA off the Leona. I think the salvage had to hit. Looking at it, I think the salvage needed to be the one that made it through in the end. If you wanted to wipe the board completely, whether that is what Tomino needs or not, maybe Tomino can just stack enough to make it that...
Well, he doesn't have a Hidden Blade yet, right?
Yeah, which I guess on the next turn can be used. I guess it doesn't have to happen now.
Well, he also got a Call to Glory. Dude, this is so complex right now.
I know, and I'm probably making it worse with my yapping on things.
No, we just have to kind of think about like a lot of scenarios over here.
Yeah.
There's the Hidden Blade, not so hidden anymore because it's gonna be... Oh no, it's a Call to Week. Okay.
Yeah, so this will hit the Irelia to get the GA off, and then next turn you at least can Hidden Blade when Irelia has to go aggressive because she has to contest one of the battlefields. So I was a little bit too much do everything now, whereas you don't have to. You can wait.
Yeah, and do we rescue this unit with the Sett? Probably not.
Don't need to.
Yeah.
You're kind of winning this from here already. Do you have enough resources available? Yes, 3 runes up, and we're going to get a Targon's Peak untap as well, right, at the end of the turn?
So now we're probably hiding the Hidden Blade.
Now it's a not Hidden Blade.
Not so Hidden Blade.
As Targon's untap. Now it's really off this top deck. Needs to provide more card draw.
If you could just have it in your hand.
Oh, Defy is enough to deal with the Hidden Blade, but a Defy, a Hard Bargain, and a Rebuke will not give Irelia enough to survive this turn and next, right? Oh, Hidden Blade, I guess, is now... because it's hidden...
Can be used in response.
Has to be used in response.
Yeah, so now this is a great insurance. Because now it's not even about that. It's you're able to rescue your action, and it goes back to base, so he doesn't get his shoes back.
Oh, and we're now in that situation as well where the wording of the card
specifically... heads-up play. You have to play Defy now.
Did Hidden Blade get errated to say if it dies? That is a really good question.
That's not even important. Right now, the most important interaction over here is, if Tatts will not defy this, then the action doesn't die, and the boots don't go to Irelia.
Okay, that is huge. So can't get to 8 this turn. There is the... I think we're gonna.
I think
probably
we
have a judge
might be having a judge
here.
over here.
It looks like the 5 coming out.
He realized too late. He realized too late.
Yeah, because I believe we've gone to recycling. We have stepped past it. The judges are going to come in. Again, we at the caster desk can't actually impact this, so we'll let the judges resolve it.
The thing is that the rebuke was resolved.
Yes.
And because the rebuke was resolved into the graveyard, that means that the reaction speed Hidden Blade
has already resolved,
so it's resolved as well. So it looked like Tatts already confirmed, yeah, this is done.
Yeah, because we had things move.
Correct.
So
but
we are, of course,
it's up to the judges, not up to us. We're just explaining what could have happened.
We are at competitive rel, which means this is the moment where decisions like this are make or break for a tournament. And also, at your Nexus night, we may very well say, actually, okay, sure,
well,
maybe.
Whatever, bro.
But here, judges will come in, will help the players resolve this situation. It wouldn't surprise me if the rebuke, because it had resolved, was done.
I mean, it was the moment for Irelia, because with the boots, now you're going to be able to equip it after you move to one of the battlefields. Equip it, untap it, and gank to the other battlefield, which without the boots you're not able to do. So if I'm not mistaken, again, I can be wrong because I can't remember every single thing that was happening there. That's very complex board state. But I think without the boots, there was no way of setting up potential lethal, and the only way would be playing not to lose the next turn, and then it depends on the card draw on the next one.
There is a thing, just again, for newer players or players that are not used to playing a competitive rel. When you resolve a spell, the board state is new and there's new information. And part of that new information is, am I getting those boots back or not? Yeah. And if you're not getting them back and you're like, oh, well, then I would have, which is not what I'm saying is happening, but you know, at a Nexus night, you'd be like, oh, I don't get those, maybe I'll do something different. But at competitive rel, like that level of information interaction is what goes into the difference of whether something resolves or not. So.
And it makes also a difference between a player who is playing on top of the game today or not as well.
Which is rough. All of these, like, right down into that minutiae of, like, the card is stacked on top of each other, and I got to remember exact wording. And this is why we say, whenever somebody reads a card, like, that exact wording on how an effect plays out is key at this absolute top level. We're going to let the judges resolve, but this is right down to it. You could not be at a more tense
that is a
moment
tight spot.
in Game 3, and you're basically continuing through, aiming for that top 8. So we will give that a little bit of time.
Well, it's still far away from the top 10. We still have 4 rounds. I mean, including this one.
Including this one, but I guess this is actually almost at that tipping point of qualifying for regionals.
That is true. When it comes to the top 64, this is a very important match for sure. Yeah. It will be, because you're also winning. How do I explain this? The later you lose, the higher potentially your tie breaks are.
Okay. We have apparently.
So what is the resolution over here? It seems like action is alive, so the Defy didn't come through because of the resolution of the rebuke.
Yes, okay, which was what we assumed would end up resolving, but it is, you know, we, of course, and as we said, we're not the judges here, so that does make it really difficult to test, and that is going to be a scoop. That is an unfortunate way to...
That Defy needed to be played.
Come through, yeah, unfortunate. That is a difficult spot, but it is going to be... Actually, the other way around, this graphic is not.
It's Tomino who's winning.
Yeah, correct. Tomino is winning, so we will get this.
What a legend!
There we go. Tomino gets the graphic as Tomino will advance. Obviously, it is a very tense situation at that point in the game, and not the one that you want to be on either side of. Everybody would be looking for a clean resolution to that game based purely on what is the sequencing going on in front of you.
Well, to be fair, it kind of looked clean because
I guess
the chain was very visible from the board state and also like the body movement. It looked like it was confirmed, this is resolving, and now after the realization of what's the outcome of this Hidden Blade and that the Sett will rescue the unit and the action doesn't die, the player went like, wait, maybe it's fine?
Yeah, that's... What I mean about clean and not clean is I think it's one of those frustrating ones, right? As a player where you're like, that's not how I want to lose a game on that. So I do definitely feel for Tatts in that moment. But Tomino, a big win.
Everyone was in the spot at some point when playing card games. This is one of the moments when you learn a lot and you're like, okay, I will never make this mistake again. You know, it's like one of those things when I'm going to start paying more attention a little bit to those small details of like how do you order the chain and what is resolving first, and so on. So it is a but that's what I love about card games, because you do have this kind of a skill when you have to plan your turns so much ahead during even like, or even actions, not turns ahead, but like actions ahead, and know the potential outcomes of it. It's a beauty to watch players who are playing it at the highest level, and that's what just makes this card game really fun.
Yeah, and this is where we go into now. This isn't an elimination match.
No,
like Tatts is not out following that, and obviously that's not much of a silver lining from this situation. Would have been looking to advance, and again, as I said, that is a really difficult end to the game. This is where it comes into conditioning of like, when you lose a game in a frustrating way, how do you turn that around? Like, what is your own personal way of pulling yourself back together and saying, okay, I dropped that one, but I'm still in contention. I'm still looking to win out for the rest of the day and make it further in the tournament.
I think just taking the lesson from this, right?
Yeah.
Because it's, in many cases, many people would say just forget about it and just play your next game.
Though.
No, you cannot forget about it, because as we know, card games are a game of knowledge, and the knowledge is the most important thing that you need to have in your game, right? So you have to learn from the mistakes, otherwise you're never gonna get better.
Yeah.
So you have to take this in, you have to think about this, you have to realize this is a moment where I get better as a player, because this is something that I could have played better. And now you win from this lose. You have a win when you become instantly a better player, because you're not gonna make this mistake again. And with that mindset, you go into the next round and you go smash it. You know.
And we will keep an eye on Tatts and whether that comes back as a bounce back and smashing through. But one player that is smashing through well on the Sett, which is not a deck that lots of players were expecting to play against. It is one where we're talking about the meta. It sits just under the meta decks, and in one where a good player can pilot it to wins. Clearly, Tomino, very proficient at the Sett in these matchups.
And it's also bringing something that you pointed out before, which is you don't have a lot of experience against Sett right now. In Spirit Forge, there was almost no Sett. Now in the Spirit Forge 2.5, or like 1.5, whatever you call it, we have Sett going back, because the yellow-orange combination is getting a little bit better because of the Fight or Flight not being in the game anymore, right? So I was fully expecting, when I was making a tier list video before going to this tournament, I was saying Fiora is surprisingly good into this metagame, but Sett is not far away from her. The difference here is, first and foremost, the difference in signatures. Fiora's access to riposte is really incredible.
Where Showstoppers comparative to riposte.
Depends on what the context is of the particular matchup. But when it comes to the Sett's ability, that's a powerful one.
That's the difference.
Also, you can see how important experience is against Sett, because if you allow the Sett to like use two of those abilities in one turn because of the Conquer and then untapping it, right? You don't see it often, but it does actually affect the game by quite a lot. And
that's something we're seeing in this meta. There are quite a lot of wide board states, but there's a lot of decisions being made of which exact units do you save, which do you kind of, on the unit-based, on the equipment-based decks, which do you cascade with, how does that sequencing play out, which leaves an insane branch of paths for each turn of like which units get saved, which do I put in first, who do I utilize different spells on, and that is one of the real like complex but beautiful things to follow in a tournament like this, is like which line is the one that takes you over the line, gets you that last point, and advances you in the tournament. And we are in the middle of our second round of the day, but it's round 10 of the tournament, and after 10 rounds. There's been a lot of fun Riftbound. A lot of fun stuff. We've seen some Sett. We've seen... Yesterday we saw a Volibear. We've seen...
the Volibear game, if you didn't watch it, Volibear didn't play a card till turn 4.
Nearly had it, though.
Yeah,
and turned the corner.
And he almost made a comeback. It was like...
Almost.
It wasn't close. But it was. But it could have happened if the stars aligned.
Always an optimist in my chat. I'll try and be as positive as possible. Somebody who will be looking positively on a win in that round. Advancing in the tournament is Tomino, who is chatting to Amy right now.
Thanks, James. I'm here with Thomas, the winner of our feature match with Sett. How are we feeling going further in the tournament with this fantastic record?
I mean, I'm feeling very good. The game was really close. He didn't realize how one interaction works. I probably won thanks to that, but yeah, it was a tough match.
It is, yeah. Did you expect to go this far with Sett, with so many kind of Irelias flying around?
I mean, the Tempo Irelia is, I think, an okay matchup for Sett, but yeah, this Irelia is harder when they're just playing with the one unit, but it's still playable. But yeah, I'm mostly scared of Dravens.
Oh, have you seen many Draven yet?
I fought them once, and that's my only loss.
Oh, that was the only
Yeah.
loss? Oh, wow. So hopefully you keep dodging the Draven as you go through this event. What do you think is the most powerful card in your deck?
Probably Challenge, but as a combo, I like to Varmok with Fiora
Yeah.
on Tempo or Varmok with Ruin Runner, and I can just save it every round and get trades and outvalue him.
Absolutely. We've seen that come to fruition in so many matches today. That Ruin Runner is so powerful. I think people are underestimating it, which is great for you. Do you think you can go all the way now?
I mean, I'm gonna try.
Yeah, that's what we absolutely love to hear. When choosing a deck for this tournament, what made you gravitate towards Sett?
I also played Sett in Bologna.
Yes.
I got the best of in Bologna, actually.
Yes, congratulations.
And yeah, I just stuck with the same deck because I played it a lot, so, and it's still the same format.
Yeah.
And Draven got nerfed, which was the hardest matchup. I was like, hopefully there's less Dravens.
Honestly, I think you're doing the right thing. You're a master at the deck already, so why not run it back? Have you got anyone you'd like to thank or shout out while we're here?
Shout out to my friend group, NLV, I guess. That's about it.
That's perfect, honestly. Thank you so much for talking to us, Thomas. I really hope that you do well throughout the rest of the event. We're going to throw it over to Barcode for another interview.
Thank you.